Alright guys, welcome back to the pit. Just wanted to show you a few little quick things. One of the biggest things is if you're ever gonna do one of these Brian Taylor Mustangs and you're gluing that scoop on, make sure you drill a hole in there so you can get at the wing bolt, or else you're gonna be screwed. And I'll come around this way. Sorry to make you guys, you know what I always say, sorry we're making you sick. But anyways, because what happens is, back in here, I'll take this out for you. Sorry. Is the wing block for the rear of the wing. So there's a hole down in the fuselage that it bolts up to. So I'm going to make a tube. Turn it around here. I'm going to make a tube in there to guide the bolt up. The bolt will stay permanently in with a little, just an O-ring around it to hold the bolt from falling out. And I'll put a little guide tube in there and then close that area all in there. So we got that, but very important that you don't forget that hole. I'm not going to say that I learned a lesson because I haven't made that mistake yet. And if we come along here, because I've also done it on my Mustang, working on that one. And then when I was looking at things to put the drop tank brackets on my dad's plane that I made, there's some detailed pictures. One of the things, if you're trying to do a scale airplane, standoff scale airplane, make sure you have documentation. Lots of documentation, lots of books on photos. When I was back in England, I went to England in the 80s to visit this girl that was coming over every summer. We'd get together for a couple of weeks. I worked for her cousin at a performance shop when I was first getting into the automotive trade, and I went over there to spend a few months over there. Took a leave off of work, went over there for a couple months, stayed at her place with her parents, traveled around England a bit. And at that time my dad was building his Mustang, so I bought up pretty well every book I could find over there on the Mustang. But on mine, I noticed I screwed up here, right here on that I have it the wrong. Put that little flange fairing on the wrong way. So to correct that, I'll just cut this edge off to shape and that, and you won't really notice it. See, because it should be on the outside. I got it on the inside. Anyways, also working on fixing up my dad's. I had redone all the interior as the interior of the rebuilt or restored Glamorous Glen. And I'm thinking that's kind of a boo-boo. I think I would like to put it back to a military instrument panel and that, because it's going to be weathered up and beat up. So we'll change all that out again. Down in this area here, I had a Sullivan glow driver because the engine's inverted, so it wouldn't load up on under idle and stuff. And I took it out and stuck it in my rebuilt Hawker Hurricane. So I'll have to replace that. I don't know if you can see some of the details in here. It wasn't that great of a job, but then I hid the on and off switch. But actually, let me come around. Sorry guys and girls if you're watching. There might be a few girls watching. You never know. I don't know if you can see the detail of the flare thing I did. That shoot the flares out of the side of the plane. They would take their flare gun, open up that little open in there, stick the gun out, fire it, and it would actually come out of this. Oh, I don't know if you can see my finger. Where's my finger? Come out of that hole there. But it's all good. Anyways, we'll go for another little stroll over here. Oh, we got some tools in the way. And this is my little box of goodies that I have done for my dad's Mustang. I made up all new gear doors for it. The inner and the outer doors. You can see all that stuff. Some of his original landing gear leg covers. One of his original doors. It's been through a little bit of action. Other gear door. Yeah, let's see. These are I made these up. These are for the fuel tank releases. And what I was gonna do was make them, I'll come over here, just throw this on this side for a second here. Come over here. So they were operated from a bell crank inside, but I wanted to make sure I had access to all this stuff. So I made a hatch for it. And maybe I did overkill. And then the Z-bend goes into the bell crank. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand. But I don't know if you can see the wire right in there. And that goes forward, and then when you work the bell crank, let's see, hang on, this might be the one that I gotta cut. See if we pull that back. Yeah, this one I gotta cut. Hang on, let's go for another walk over here. Here's the better one. This one is okay. So what we have is, I don't know if you guys can see, it's kind of open there. See if I can hold this with the other hand. So push the wires forward. There you go. It locks right there. And when the bell crank and servo move, bell crank, so we'll pull this out. It pulls back, and then the fuel tank falls off. That's basically it. And then I got just to do the little side brackets on to steady the tank. But that's how that works. So I was gonna have those in with the hatch. So this would be glued. This will get glued to the hatch. Slip it into the hole for the bell crank. Screw it down. And then I have a rod, piece of piano wire that sticks up here. Slides over that tube. And then tighten it up with the Allen screw, but the Allen screw is going to be shorter, and then the head would, you know, short little grub. I'll put a grub screw in there so you won't see it, and there'll be countersunk inside that mount, and that should clear that up. I don't know if that's overkill. On my Mustang, I just glued them right on. So that's one of the things we're working at. I'll come back over to this mess again. This was a plug I made to make the shrouds for the exhaust. So this was my attempt at his exhaust for his airplane that I was restoring, you know, and they would stick in. That's this is for the other side, but it'll be kind of. And of course he's got. Of course my dad's got this side not cut out. But anyways, if they're here, hang on. Sorry guys, and girls should have been more organized. Here, let's just do it this way. So here's this one. Basically, friggin' storm just hit here. Okay, I gotta get a mount up for you guys. Set you up. So here would be the exhaust. Made them out of brass tubing, different sizes, and then I took a soldering iron and I ran a bead of solder down to kind of look like simulate the flange of the the seam of the exhaust tube being where it would be welded together and stuff. And then that would have just stuck. I don't know if it'll fit in his. I never tried it yet. I know it fit in my cowl. Yeah, I'd have to. Oops, not even in frame. Yeah, I'd have to open his. Yeah, that's right. I gotta open his cowl right up to get my fat finger in here. Right around here, all has to be ground out. But anyways, you get the gist of it. So that's what it made. But I don't kind of like the way I just used shoe glue or something to stick them in. And I just don't like the way it's all. I could touch it all up, but I just don't like the way it all oozed out. So I screwed around and the bomb went off here. I screwed around in fusion a few times, coming up with different things. Some Mustangs had different shrouds. I got like that shroud with just the exhaust. I 3D printed. I don't know, where's my hand? 3D printed these tubes, but I think I'll just take the metal tubes out of those old ones and stick them in. But I made different attempts at stuff. These are the gun blisters that I've done. Let's see, printed up a rough joystick, landing light bezels, and then a landing light. Where are we? Sorry about that. Landing light. And then I'm just gonna ground that all out, or I might just mold drop another one and have it printed hollow in there. Because what I started doing was on his, go over to this little bucket, I was making an actual LED landing light, but it's way too big. It's only supposed to, going by the Brian Taylor drawing, it's supposed to be like that size there. So we'll figure something else out. I had made these vents before, but I'm not happy with the way they were all punched out. So I printed up these. I buried all my stuff. Printed these up in Fusion and just printed them. But I'm gonna use these as an alignment thing, just to punch out new ones of these, because I think that would be better. That's the cutout of the my cowl that I have with some aluminum over it, and then I just used a punch through to make some nice tapered holes. The theory's right. The look wasn't what I wanted. Made a plug here, and this was for under the belly here. And all I did there was just put some plastic in a little wooden frame. I just used some staple gun boom, 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 a couple staples, heat her up with the old heat gun, and just heat up the plastic, watch it sag, take this and just push away. You can do a lot of quick molds, like that. Lots of pieces in here to go through. Yeah. So basically, this is what we're trying to achieve is those vents. And this is Glamorous Glen, and on this one here, they just they got them closed off. But like I said, it's gonna be going into the warbird scheme and all dirtied up and stuff. So we'll put the actual functional ones in. I made a mistake when I was talking to you guys last video. I said it was shimmy something or other, but man, give me a break. I'm 60 years old now, and this was back in the 80s when I went to England. It's actually Sunny 8, and in one of the books that I got from England with different Mustang information and stuff in it, this is actual picture. I'm trying to hold myself steady. An actual picture of the real Sunny. And that, so I got lots of documentation, photos. Old Crow is the one that I wanna do because it flew. Jaeger flew with Bud Anderson, same squadron and stuff. So that's about it. But if you're doing any scale stuff, you need tons of documentation. I got lots of photos, lots of books. I'm not trying to make it exact scale or anything. Get kind of tired of puttering on these things. I've been on and off for years and years and years. I'm also thinking of maybe going electric on the thing. I don't know what you guys think about, but she's coming along. Here, I'll go for a wander. Don't mind the mess. I always say we're renovating, but that's my fuselage up there. I'm at the point now of doing all the rivets and everything with a soldering gun, and I just don't think I have it in me right now to do all that. So I thought I'd flip back to, I'll throw you down here so you look at my box of garbage. That's the best way to do things. Just keep a box around, and then if you're doing any sanding or anything, just slide the box underneath where you're working, and it'll catch most of your dirt, and have a vacuum cleaner with you, and it keeps everybody happy. So on that note, I think we'll end her there. Sorry, this is a little long one, probably a little boring one, but we'll talk to you later. Have a good day.